Hey there! We are Castro and Barbara Macalino. We like to refer to ourselves as CASMAC. Firstly, we're here to ask a question. When we think of BGC, what is the first thing that comes into your mind? Is it the architecture that captures you the most? How about its lifestyle? Or are you captured by its people and their social standing? For you, is there a building that embodies all of these elements? A beacon of representation for BGC and its iconic metropolitan lifestyle. For this project, we were tasked to do just that. And for the following minutes, we're here to relate to you how CASMAC envisions a unique multi-use high-rise building within Bonifacio Global City, Taguig.
So located in Metro Manila, Philippines, lies Bonifacio Global City, or popularly known as BGC. This city attracts different cultures and personalities that dominantly house young adults that are mostly in their mid-20s. These working-class individuals create the city's image of a busy, bustling city that thrives day and night. Within this city lies the chosen 2,000 square meter site, which is located in the corner of 11th Avenue and 11th Drive. The site is surrounded by existing buildings that greatly contribute to the city's bustling movement, such as commercial and residential areas with hints of feeding spaces found within the scattered greeneries. Apart from that, the site also presents itself to be feasible and non-hazardous towards floods, earthquakes, and cases of liquefaction. In terms of vehicular movement, the site can also be easily located due to its location, which is near two major roads, with the 11th Avenue and 11th Drive both having a two-way system. Traffic is not much of a problem except for Fridays, which is usually bearable with its flow ranging from mild to moderate only. Given that, it can be expected that the intersecting points of 32nd Street and 11th Avenue would be the area where traffic noise could be the heaviest. When it comes to wind exposure, generally the site is in a good position towards the Amihan winds, as its north portion only has a few high-rise buildings. The southwest winds, on the other hand, would be partially blocked by neighboring buildings, lessening the openings for wind flow. Next, the sun provides the site with a good amount of sunlight and enough shading from its surrounding buildings. And as people stroll under the tropical sun, the site provides them with sight views and experience. The views towards 11th Avenue gives a vast perspective of the open land vegetation, although the surrounding sides of the site by 11th Drive are obstructed by neighboring buildings.
Generally, we have chosen this site because it possesses strength in the reputation of its location, as well as its accessibility for the users, both pedestrian and vehicular, making it convenient and easy for them to navigate through the surrounding buildings. However, the presence of adjacent buildings may obstruct views for the people within the site. Furthermore, since BGC is a business district, rush hours cannot be avoided, therefore, traffic may occasionally become a problem. Despite this, the site can open users to more residential, job, and business opportunities. Its accessibility can attract more consumers, opening the site to investors that will allow businesses in the area to thrive. Lastly, the site may be exposed to excessive noise pollution due to its surrounding roads and existing buildings. In addition, such buildings may pose as a competition since some buildings are already familiar to the locals of the area. Given all that, with all the information presented and analyzed, we introduce to you POISE, defined as sophistication amidst the metropolitan hustle. We envision this project to become a representation of the youth life in BGC, translating the in-betweens of their personalities as they move and shift with the constant flow of the city. Along with this translation, the project aims to deliver a unique structure along with the considerations of site limitations and strategic economic plans that will overall serve as an embodiment of BGC. To begin, let's analyze the youth's life in BGC. So after staying indoors for so long, the youth has become more eager to leave their homes, expressing their leisure out in parks or commercial areas. BGC, with its walkable and open spaces, has grown more popular as a destination for hangouts and relaxation. Along with its bright and Instagrammable sceneries, landscaping, and trendy commercial spaces, BGC has indeed become a landmark for youth for leisure, whether they chose to ponder alone in a coffee shop or party and drink all night. BGC welcomes them with open arms, though leisure is not just black and white. Whether our agendas be of extroverted or introverted intentions, we have those little unintentional moments. We call this the in between, or the clash of our extroverted and introverted selves present in the youth of BGC. Movements that interrupt that we're intentionally trying to do so, such as when we ponder while we actively scroll through our phones or when we unintentionally stay silent or daydream while we walk along the street. These moments are human, and we aim to focus on this dichotomy as we try to translate the behavior of the youth within the vicinity of BGC. As the youth loves to express movement in BGC, they are likened to our basic forms of movement, which is the flexion and extension of our muscles. We see these as the representation of the in between in the youth having two different personalities clashing against each other creates a movement that allows them to flow within the duality of hustle and tranquility of the city.
To further strengthen our design, we will use the actor network theory. It emphasizes the need for progressive new networks that interlinks the humans and non-humans. Architectural translation will be the network of translation between these two actors, having a hybrid of networks that concerns spatial design and sociality. Architecture and sociality gather the user behavior and translate it into extroverted and introverted spaces. The building must speak for itself, having the strong presence that reflects the network it creates through its programs by representing the city, its culture, and its habits. Overall, it leads to the ultimate architectural experience we want to achieve. Now we go into our program and form concept development. We begin by computing the building's floor area ratio. As per the computation of a 32-story building, we have accumulated an FAR of 16 with a gross floor area not exceeding 32,000 square meters. The development is then divided into 10 processes. First, we have the extrusion. The initial form is extruded from the restrictions given by the setbacks, followed by the creation of a leveled form to introduce spatial hierarchy towards exclusive condominium units for more privacy in the second iteration. The third introduces flexion, which distinguishes areas where new networks of active spaces are to be implemented, later opposed and intervened by social spaces and psychologically calm areas by the fourth iteration extension. Following this begins the networks, starting with network allure that creates a bridging extension that allows for maximization of space and the formation of a portal that opens for multiple programs and spatial opportunities. The next bridging moment, network daring, opens a mixture of active, productive, and social spaces that juxtaposes the adventurous and the executive. On top of this is the final bridge that opposes adventure through intimate spaces for the comfort of the user's own social bubble. And then, the current enclosed form is revealed through iterations of revelation, creating cuts or splits on the skin to allow open-air balconies for natural ventilation and social connections. This process is then repeated towards the other side. And lastly, the final form exhibits the combination of new networks as well as the commercial opportunities in the exterior and interior programs, inspired by the muscle activity of flexion and extension.
So diving deeper into the building's special architectural features, beginning with network allure, the human actor towards actor nature showcases the extension of the form to create a concaving roof that allows the infusion of networks for building to humans and humans to nature. The concaving roof entices people to come in, creating the illusion of like a vacuum effect. The incorporation of attracting animals like birds and butterflies by installing hanging habitats on the roof ceiling creates a more inviting and serene appeal. Also considered in the intervention are the common types of birds that go around urban places in the Philippines. These birds love to visit spaces with attractive and colorful plants and suitable habitats for them that have water, plants, and specific foods they like. Translating this creates an envision of a bamboo arcing grid attachment in which plants would be hung and where a suitable bird habitat will be incorporated. This gesture ultimately creates a visual cue of the network towards birds and interventions of the hanging colorful nectar-producing plants, bird baths, and bird feeders, which all exist in the area to grab their attention. Though this is not limited to birds, this makeshift habitat is also open towards attracting other species like butterflies. Adding to the art is the care towards the resonating auditory connection. The concaving of the roof allows the sound of birds to resonate in the area, which would attract other birds. This hanging garden would also be beneficial on the psychological state of the users below. With the busy and active life of BGC, the entry facade is a shift of aura that feels comforting and welcoming to the people. Another program is the network social community of the human actor towards human actor and actor nature, which is located on the ground floor. The open ground floor allows for passive and active interactions between humans, animals, and nature, creating networks of play and movement between animals and man. The incorporation of the koi pond and interactive features for children are the elements that contribute to this gesture. Additionally, this space also welcomes interactive physical movements such as biking, skating, and art installations. In network social community, the exposed portion would be used to create a network of the people inside and outside the structure. Walls create a solid divide between the interior and exterior of a structure, preventing the connection between the outside and the inside, like the noise, the feel of the wind and heat, as well as the indirect connection between people. So, exposing a portion of the interior to the exterior creates a window wherein users can have this space as an opportunity for connections. This also opens networks coming from the exterior, such as auditory connections and visual connections. Another program is the network of active spaces, which focuses on the activity or play. The idea is to provide enjoyment to users through activities that are demanding movements, such as rock climbing. Such spaces will create awareness among users in which they become aware of themselves as well. So, a connection between them and architecture is established as means of safety and maximization of their own enjoyment.
Next is the social bonding through food, art, and view networks. Sky lounges in between the residential and commercial areas house a serene experience with food and contemporary art installations. Incorporating these art installations would invoke an actor to actor network connection through observation and internalization of their surroundings. So, while dining, they are greeted with expressions of art pieces that would give off a much cooler and interactive vibe. For the next one is the void area that was created through the extension of the form in the residential area. The purpose of this bridging is to create a void space that would entail a new network of social spaces, engaging human-to-human networks. Overall, the bridging to the other area is made to create social encounters and integration of community work. To explain this further, the purpose of this social space is first to adhere to visual connections with each appeal through the vegetative elements and natural intervention. The natural intervention of birds and their sound create a network that would affect the mental state of the users. And the natural incorporation of programmatic connections like the vertical aquaponics and the hanging garden allow for human-to-human connections and human-to-nature connections that users can all relate to. The aquaponic system would usually have three elemental factors such as the fish, the plants, and bacteria, but a more domestic version is incorporated to make it more manageable for the residents. The last program would be found in the upper portion of the structure and it will be part of the amenities floor. The versatility is achieved by allowing the space to have multiple activities that can include both introverted and extroverted activities. Active spaces like team sports and passive spaces that initiate social interactions such as dining and open sitting spaces can initiate a network of interaction between users. It also allows for indirect connections between users around the space brought by their curiosity and astonishment, therefore opening user awareness and social opportunities.
For the building floor plans, due to the curving shape, the building would have 12 typical floor plans. So, first is the ground floor plan. Firstly, upon entering, the vehicle passes through the driveway, either to drop off or head to the parking. When users are dropped off, before they could enter, they would be greeted by the bird garden, inducing to them a relaxing vibe. So, for privacy and non congestion purposes, there would be two lobbies. Lobby A on the left would mostly accommodate the commercial and office users, while Lobby B on the right has access to the residential areas up to the penthouse. So, since this floor houses the recreational outdoor areas, the commercial spaces on this floor will match the activity it holds. That's why, adjacent to the park, retail stores and restaurants are placed that would cater to the users. Also, on this floor, the segregation of service areas are placed at the rear end of the building, adjacent to the service road for direct access. Besides this, the typical commercial A floor layout maximizes the spaces as well as creates a flow that is straightforward and not difficult to navigate. Through the U-shaped flow, it will allow the users to navigate naturally, and in this plan, balconies are intervened to act as breather to the space. Next is the commercial B. The same idea is followed in this plan, the easy navigation and maximization of spaces, all while directing the flow of movements through a U-shaped flow. It can also be seen that in this commercial B typical floor plan, the first 4th to 6th floors are to be the same, while the 7th floor will be the area where the daring activities will be included. In the middle of the 7th floor, there would be an active open space that opens a kids' play zone and a wall climbing area. This space allows the users to be active through these interventions, allowing a boost in visits towards the area. Following is the typical office floor plan. In each building, there would be one office space each. Each office space is equipped with 3 private rooms and its own toilet facilities. Within this floor is also the intervention of the balconies, which it will allow the workers to lounge around and serve as a de-stressor. Lastly is the underground parking where it follows a one-way flow of 6-meter driveways. All in all, one floor of the underground parking houses 53 car slots and 8 motorbike spaces.
Moving on, the sky lobby on the 16th floor separates the active from the passive spaces. The space consists of commercial spaces and outdoor balconies that offer relaxation to its users and spaces for interaction. Beside it is the typical residential A, consisting of studio units and one-bedroom units that surround an outdoor garden specifically for residential use. The typical residential B, on the other hand, consists of 2 wings, the east and the west. Studio units have their own balcony in which they can overlook the city or their neighbors. In more connected spaces, the typical residential C has a more exclusive feel, being the largest floor for residential units. It holds 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units within the area. Moving on, the amenities floor encourages both indoor and outdoor activities with the presence of an indoor gym as well as an outdoor open space for sports and leisure. Small gardens are also present to balance out the activity with more relaxed and calm spaces. And lastly, the typical penthouse floor is found at the topmost portion of the structure, giving them a clear view of the skylines of Bonifacio Global City. So after discussing all the typical floors, here's the summary of the saleable and non-saleable units of typical floors from the ground to the 15th floor. While here is the saleable and non-saleable units of typical floors from the 16th to 32nd floor. All in all, here is the tabular version of the floor areas and its percentage ratio of non-saleable and saleable. Overall, the POISE has an efficiency of 70.92% to 29.08%. This means POISE is deemed to be efficient in terms of saleable area ratios.
Moving forward to the technical parts of this presentation, here is how the building will be structurally designed. The column layout of the building will be based on a grid layout of 8 meters. Through the isometric views, we can also see how the columns on the perimeter would be slanting following the form. In addition, apart from the columns carrying the weight, the 2 parts of the elevator shear wall is also part of carrying the building load. Next, in here, we see the front elevation and the left side elevation, with the corresponding floors and zones of each level. So in total, the building height would be 144.5 meters, with each floor having a floor-to-floor height of 4.5 meters, except for the lobby with 5 meters. The floor zones go from bottom to top: commercial, office, sky lobby, and the residential. Furthermore, here are the building sections of both the front and the left side. Towards the front section, we can see how the building will look inside. The 2 elevator shafts are sandwiched in between the spaces for direct connections. It is also evident in this section how the creation of voids in between allows a more alluring movement towards the area. It brings about curiosity, the intervention of natural elements, and depicts more uniqueness on each floor. Towards the left side elevation, we see the elevator lobbies in the middle, the emergency stairs at the far left, and at the very top, the amenities floor. For the base section, the cut is made by showing the uppermost portion of the building. We see in this drawing the necessary detailed cut of the area, which shows the ceiling components, the slab details, roof detail, and the building's curtain wall. Adding to the building's skin, having it to be curving in nature, would have mullions that flow along with it. Apart from the skin having slices and cuts, this process allows the intervention of the vegetative elements to be infused in the balcony. As seen in the plant infused balcony section, we see how potentially it could work. A zero point 0.6 meter offset is added to plant vegetative elements. All in all, it will serve as a natural element that will also bring forth calmness and serenity to the building. And once again, the building's skin is designed to form with slits that disrupt the continuity, allowing the outside to come in and vice versa. As the form stands out from the neighboring buildings, it captivates the users who stare at its organic, wavy structure.
Moving on to our building circulation, there would be two entrances located at the concaving entrance of the building. Next, there would be two elevator shafts at the two portions of the building, followed by the vehicular movement, which shows the parking is located at the opposite ends, with one to enter and one to exit. The garbage chute is located at the end of the building, directly linking to the service area at the back portion of the building, which is also adjacent to the service road. And lastly, there would be two stairs that would also function as emergency exits, which shall be located at both ends of the building. Given all that, once again revealing our vision to Interpoise. Interpoise is the vision that aims to embody the life of the Filipino youth in the city by translating the in-betweens of their personalities, finding the stillness in movement and movement in stillness as it flows with the constant shift and change of the city. The project crafted spaces that denote either active or passive, allowing it to pose along with the city through its curving form. The interposition of void spaces in between allows for dynamic programs that paves the way for serenity, activeness, and connections. So once again, interpoise, reflecting the youth's dynamic personalities in the city where active meets passive.